When you spend 2 decades wearing a motorcycle club patch, serving in leadership, and half a century raised in the life, among some of the largest organizations on record, there are several life lessons to be learned. This is one of those lessons. I have posted 2 episodes of this podcast series and received a few questions regarding my life. So maybe before I get too far down the road, I should circle back to the beginning. I guess the motorcycle club life started for me before I was even born. In the mid and late 1960s, my old man, whose road name was Lightning, joined a chapter of a motorcycle club in the Midwest called the Aces. His chapter happened to be called the Columbus Aces. I'll reflect back to some of his experiences in comparison with mine throughout the series. I asked Lightning once why he joined the motorcycle club, but I already knew the answer. I knew where he grew up, and it was called the Bottoms for a reason. He had no father figure, and my grandma, God rest her soul, was one fire-ass woman when she was young. I mean, she passed at 88 years old, and she buried 5 husbands. So I knew the old man had it rough growing up, and it made sense when he told me it was really a gathering of necessity for those who were there, because individually they had nothing, but together they had something. But his actual straightforward answer kind of took me back, because he said when it came to food, fighting, and fucking, 10 hands were better than 2. I never really asked him about that fucking part. I am told that in 1967 or early 1968, they rode south to Daytona, Florida, with a club whose initials were IC. You will rarely, if ever, hear me utter another club's name out of my mouth, as I was taught from the beginning, the only club name that should come out of your mouth in public is your own. The club leader that some of the Aces rode down with to Florida stayed in Daytona, and he is a very well-known club biker. Unfortunately, my mom had a health issue arise, and they returned back to Columbus in late 1968. She got pregnant with me, and in July of 1969, I guess is when I entered the club life, because the card that you see is my card that was signed by the president of the Columbus Aces in July of 1969. His name was Lightning. When exactly did I get my first patch? To be honest with you, I can't tell you for sure, but I know I was young. I was told that my trip home from the hospital was squished between Mom and Lightning on a 1960-something Triumph Bonneville. I guess I grew up around a lot of colorful characters. The guys that I called uncles had names like Strut, Gut, Fire Clown, and Tiny. I wasn't really shielded from anything at a young age. From what I am told, I was right there with the club from the start of my life. Mom said that I was such a good baby she could set me right in front of the stacked speakers in the middle of the party and I would just sleep. It's no wonder I can't hear shit these days. I was even there during the raids by the Gestapo law enforcement, so some things haven't changed. She told me about when a sheriff department raided the clubhouse during a party, and I guess they nightsticked the brothers pretty good. She said they strip searched everybody by making them take their clothes off. Brothers in one area, old ladies in another. She said they made the brothers bend over and grab their ankles, and they sprayed pepper spray up their exit hole. She said female deputies strip searched the sisters, but because she was holding me and I was about 6 months old, they just had her stand over to the side and left her alone. Perhaps my hatred of adrenaline jockey little dick narcissist cops comes from birth. But I can assure you no one hates them more than me. And if any of you listening to this podcast happens to be a lying piece of shit cop, fuck off, you lying piece of shit. Oh, sorry, where was I? Well, I suppose all rides must come to an end, and in the early 70s, Mom and Lightning went their separate ways. Lightning hung his patch up for the last time, and he bought a farmhouse out in the sticks. I bounced around a bit, back and forth, and things weren't great for a while, but eventually I moved out to that farm too. We still had a lot of visits from the uncles, and I remember automatic machine guns and guitar cases from an uncle named Blackbeard, and barn parties with more people than they could possibly have known. I remember moving triple beams and big bags of bud in the master closet, trying to find out what Sandy was going to stick in the stockings those years. Some people tell me that wasn't a normal upbringing, but then I guess I don't know what is, because that's how I was raised. Was I predestined to wear a patch and walk in the old man's footsteps? Hell if I know. I can tell you he didn't try and talk me out of it, but he did tell me a few things about the path I was choosing, and it turns out the old man was right. There's a saying that goes something like, I don't regret the things that I've done, I just regret some of the people I've done them for. And that is a truth that I cannot deny. So I'm just going to keep sharing my path because maybe it's therapeutic to me, or maybe it's not. Maybe somebody will take something of value from it, or maybe not. I suppose if there was any lesson to be learned in this episode, maybe it's that your destiny is predetermined. Or maybe is that lying little dick narcissist law enforcement adrenaline jockey cops never change. Or maybe it's, if you can't beat them, join them, and then take the motherfucker over. But what the hell do I know? I'm just Tabasco the Biker. Keep it real.